She knew many of these warriors, if not personally, then by sight and reputation. Fafnir was there, as was Sigismund, both sparing precious minutes away from the defense of their respective bastions. They were ghosts of ghosts, hollowing into the gathering rather than being physically present. Others were slightly clearer. The crippled Captain Zephon stood with Captain Almit in a loose line of Blood Angels leaders. Several Imperial Fists and White Scars commanders stood nearby among a cluster of several hundred Imperial Army officers. No one smiled. No jests were told. Everyone bore witness. In the gathering's very center, the Primarch Sanguinius oversaw a shifting, evolving map of the inner palace. The image of the Sanctum Imperialis Palatine district glowed with unsteady stoicism at the Hololith's heart. Lotara swore softly. They'd sliced into the very core of the defenders' transmissions. This had come from the keep atop the Delphic battlement. It was the bloody war council at the last wall. She checked the archival data on her throne. It was scarcely half an hour old. Fascinated, she watched as the map refined itself through pitches and zooms, closing in on the Palatine ring, the embattled bastion surrounding the sanctum itself. Closing in further, splitting into cascading sub-images, bringing up the wastelands of rubble and corruption between the bastions, severing off and codifying embattled regions in the periphery where significant Imperial forces still held out. And this was nothing of a bigger picture, barely a slice of a slice. How many millions of combatants were still fighting their own wars in the Outer Palace, and how many billions were spread across the rest of Terra, waging their own campaigns? The scale of such considerations was beyond her, beyond anyone except perhaps the cogitational minds of the War Master and Rogel Dorn, but she found her thoughts drifting often to those far from the final fortress, engaged in their own life and death battles. Every one of those wars mattered as much as the assault on the Delphic battlement, for every second they held out kept more of the War Master's forces from gathering at the final battle. This was Dorn's final gambit. The Delphic battlement was the Sanctum's curtain wall. If it fell, there was nothing left. The way was open for the War Master to stake his claim, to walk right up to the Eternity Gate. Captain Ron, Sanguinius beckoned. The image of Fafnir addressed the conclave as Bab Bastion flared an aggravated, besieged orange on the projection table. My Lord Dorn believes we can hold Bob for another 7 to 9 days, depending on variables that have no bearing at this council. He has charged me to answer your request, Lord Sanguinius. As matters stand, we cannot reinforce you. We are still encircled and cannot lift the siege. Sanguinius nodded. Plainly to Lotara's eyes, he'd expected no less. Thank my brother for his candor, Captain Ron, and my thanks to you for your report. My Lord Dorn further requested that if you are able to send reinforcements to us in the defense of Bob, that you do so at once, provided it does not endanger the Delphic battlement. Sanguinius shook his head, his golden hair framing kindly, weary features. Even with the forces garrisoned here, we number scarcely 70,000. Every soul is needed on the wall. Tell my brother so, and offer him my regrets. In the Emperor's name, Ron replied, and made the sign of the Aquila over his breastplate. His hololith flickered out. The mountain of the Astronomicon gleamed a muted white with its temporary reprieve, but it was practically alone in its purity. The image of the dark angel Corswain was a scratchy and indistinct ghost of a thing, the connection savaged by distance. His news was no better for the defenders. They expected a renewal of the assault on their mountain fastness any hour now. Any diminishment of their thin forces would mean the loss of the Astronomicon, reclaimed so recently and with such unlikely fortune. Lord, Corswain said directly to Sanguinius, I will ask you nonetheless. Would you have us abandon the mountain and fight our way to you? If you order it, it shall be done. Sanguinius shook his head at the Dark Angel's offer. No, Paladin, hold the Astronomicon at all costs. We need the beacon relit, for by your light will the 13th Legion find its way home. Corswain gave a scratchy reply, his tone hesitant. Even if Lord Guilliman and the 13th reached the system's edge this very hour, the Ultramarines would be too late to aid you. Though we will fall here, nephew, reinforcements may yet arrive in time to aid the rest of you, ensnared in your own wars. If we are foremost in your thoughts, then light the beacon to honor our memory. There could be no more fitting funeral fire. Lotaro swallowed at the resolve in the great angel's voice, at the acceptance. How noble he sounded, even in defeat.